to set.
Camera speed.
Sound production, take one.
Action!
TGIF by AKAPAD. It's Juneteenth. What's it? June? Hold on. It's June 19th, but it's Juneteenth. It's a federal holiday here in Philadelphia, PA. I got some iced coffee because, well, I've been up for a while. Already went through AKAPAD, and now we're just doing I call these dessert coffees because I put like a big scoop of powdered sugar. I love powdered sugar, but I put like a big scoop of it in there with a whole lot of cream. It tastes a little bit like a candy bar. I'm sure I'm raising my my heart rate just by sipping on this thing. But yeah, Fridays on this podcast, on the Film Buff podcast from, you guys know Philadelphia, PA, that's where we are. We talk about independent movies, and sometimes we go through the importance, and we go over why Fridays, to me, are meaningful. Because even though Psycho Killer is what I classify as a Hollywood independent movie, like it doesn't get a lot of publicity, doesn't get a lot of push, doesn't get a lot of press. It's not in the PR grind around its release. They don't parade around. You don't see a red carpet premiere, but it's produced and manufactured, and I'm saying manufactured in a loving way, of individuals who have been in the game, who have been a part of major movies. And this is a film that they're able to secure the financing of, and just put it out there, get made. And is it made with the intent of making money, of just maybe coming up through the underground, potentially like what we got with Obsession or Backrooms, where there's a level of word of mouth. Calling the movie and having the here we go. My brain's just all over the place. Psycho Killer 2026. It's available right now on Hulu, on Disney Plus. If you want to watch it on Disney Plus, you have to get the Hulu package. The reason why we're talking about this movie is I still consider it independent, but it's a horror movie. It needs some attention, and it needs a little bit of conversation around this movie, because it's my supposition that Psycho Killer was made and pushed out there because of the title. You think there would be thousands of Psycho Killer movies, like movies called Psycho Killer. There, in fact, is not. This movie is very unique in that these guys, the producing team, Roy Lee, Matt Brennan, Andrew Kevin Walker, and Aaron Mitchell. This movie is written by Andrew Kevin Walker. It's directed by Gavin Patone, who is a career Hollywood producer. He's made some big movies. Movies you've heard of. We'll go through some of that. Andrew Kevin Walker, this is our boy with the script. He's made movies you heard of. I want to say that this title became available, and these guys were able to pounce, move somewhat quickly, get this movie out the door, get it into 20th Century Studios, make a movie for $10 million, and you hope that this movie gets a little bit of traction like Long Legs, like recently. It's a little bit similar of a draw, but this is also, to me, a focal movie, a coming out movie. We have our Silence of the Lambs, Jodie Foster character, Clarice, where it's a woman hunting something down. Again, long legs, but here we have Georgina Campbell. She plays a detective that is on the trail of a psycho killer that kills her husband right in front of her. And we have a nice parallel when this movie starts to go. It begins in a frozen Fargo. We were talking about Fargo recently. It's a frozen wasteland. It snows everywhere. Well shot, well directed. Nice blocking. You get a good sense of the landscape. But her husband pulls someone over, gets killed right in front of her because they're both cops. It's explained how a husband and a wife can. It's explained they're a part of the same police force, but they're not in the same squad car, patrol car. He gets killed, and then she's on a chase to hunt down this guy. And as she hunts down this killer, we see a lot of this movie through the killer's eyes. Through the psycho killer. And I think it's awesome. I think it's there. I think there's a level of a cult. The psycho killer eventually ends up in a satanic cult like mansion where we have Malcolm McDowell. And we get a little, I will always say it at this point. We get a lot of Epstein vibes in this whole scene, in this whole scenario. And the psycho, it's a beautiful scene. The psycho killer executes all the non-believers because he's the one closer to Satan than everyone else in this room. Everyone else in this room is just there to drink, take drugs, and have sex. Very cool stuff, aka Patters. Now, as this movie marches on, I'm waiting for the revelation that very similar to what we get in Cabin in the Woods. In Cabin in the Woods, or very similar to even Rosemary's Baby, where we know of a ritual, we know something is coming, we know there's a possibility, and we get the beginning of the apocalypse or the beginning of the end by the time this movie wraps up. That doesn't happen here. And I feel like this was a missed opportunity because I just feel like the momentum of the film was that psycho killer was going to complete his ritual and win. But what we get is psycho killer still alive, gets shipped off, and his mission is not yet complete. So it's a little bit of, we spend $10 million. I think psycho killer, just as a mask, he is jacked. It's a very much like a heavy metal album cover. That this guy just looks like he could be on stage, like screaming in your face. I love heavy metal too, by the way. People don't realize how much of a metalhead I am. But the visual of the psycho killer is there. For 10 million, you can kind of see that they were hoping to make 20 to 30 million. I think their sweet spot was probably 45 million. And you would get a sequel, and the sequel would begin in the desert where they have this guy held up in some high security prison, and the other followers or the other believers like break him out. I think that's the hanging lantern when it comes to speaking of the potential of a sequel. If that doesn't happen, I think you go back, you reshoot this movie, you shoot a new ending where he completes the ritual. The whole movie ends, A.K. Patterson, and this is a little bit of like the fun of this stuff sometimes, because you don't know where the movie's going to wrap up. But this whole journey for this girl to hunt down her husband's killer ends in a nuclear power plant, and it's there. Like it's we're in the plant. We're in the guys with the levers trying to control the gauges, like all of that stuff. It just there's always parts of these movies that remind me of other films, and I just think of the Jack Nicholson and the 1989 Batman, where they're in Access Chemicals and he's trying to evade the cops and slow them down, and he's just doing all these wacky things at the control panel. Dumping over vats of acid and like all of this stuff. Whenever I'm in control rooms in movies, I think about that scene. I'm just waiting for Jack Nicholson to come off screen and just start doing wackiness. But yeah, AK Powers, I still like this movie. To me, is a full recommendation. It's a recommendation also just for the performance of Georgina. She plays Jane Archer. I think she's there. The Malcolm McDowell scene and whole sequence, I think, is there. The point of that, again, like just helps define the character Psycho Killer. And there's other like potentially like resurrected supernatural elements that aren't quite defined but teased throughout this movie, because the psycho killer in this runs parallel with a previous case. Again, really cool stuff, really interesting stuff, writer stuff. And speaking of the writer, let's talk about Andrew Kevin Walker because he deserves some attention here. Has he written a bad movie since 1994? Let me know. Brain Scan. I know. A lot of people talk down on that movie. Brain Scan, solid movie. Hideaway, 7, 8 millimeter. Sleepy Hollow, The Hire, Wolfman, Nerdland, Windfall, The Killer. Big movie on Netflix, so underrated. We'll talk about that. Psycho Killer, to be announced, Flesh of the Gods. Script Doctor, Event Horizon, The Game, Fight Club, Stir of Echoes. This guy is one of the preeminent career from the 90s writers. I don't think he's been a part of worked on a bad movie. Some of the directors that he's collaborated with. I mean, come on. He seems to be a David Fincher guy. Joe Johnston for The Wolfman. Joel Schumacher for 8 millimeter. Tim Burton for Sleepy Hollow. Come on. I want to say, just knowing his work, Andrew Kevin Walker had a different ending for this movie. I think it got adjusted during, when they were locking up distribution. Sometimes this happens as we're making the movie. This is why shooting the movie a certain way, getting your dailies, getting the movie pre-cut, pre-edited, start assembling the movie as you're making the movie. This is a part of the process that's highly important. All that could have happened. I ain't doing any additional research. I'm just somewhat brain dumping on things I already know of from other movies. I could be complete. This could be one of those episodes where I'm wrong on every little assumption. But yeah, AKAPAD or Psycho Killer, solid movie. Now, hold up here. But before we get out here, Gavin Patton, he is. Come on, here we go. 8 millimeter, Drop Dead Gorgeous. This is him as producer. As far as I can tell, this is his first directed movie. Panic Room, Secret Window, Seeing Other People. Underrated. Yeah, like when people talk about Hollywood had to catch up to superheroes and all this fun stuff. 2006, right before Iron Man, My Super Ex-Girlfriend, which is, again, I love movies. There's also, like, what's that Reese Witherspoon one where she's the spy, and like it's got Chris Pine, but they're like two spies, and it's like a spy love triangle. I love romantic comedies like that. Super Ex-Girlfriend, Primeval, Ghost Town, Zombieland, Premium Rush, underrated movie, Nerdland, A Dog's Purpose, A Dog's Way Home, A Dog's Journey. These are made-for-TV blockbusters. Zombieland, Double Tap, Psycho Killer, Cold Storage, and Cold Storage got a lot of attention this year. We will talk about Cold Storage 100%. So, as I said, our boy here, Gavin Pallone, a part of some big-time movies. It's a Hollywood independent $10 million movie with an ending that could be a little bit better, but the journey for Psycho Killer is 100%. By the time you're done watching this movie too, you feel like you're a little bit in the mind of Psycho Killer, which is fantastic. I think this is in the vein of something, of these two filmmakers. 8 millimeter, watching 8 millimeter. Oh my God, can I talk? Watching 8 millimeter, watching Psycho Killer is a good 1-2 combo. All right, AKAPADers, I love you guys. Rock and roll.
Okay, that's a wrap.